Yeah, the ego is there to destroy your business. If you want to make money, you got to make a difference. He wanted everybody to know that he was the big man on campus.
That was a challenge for me, wanting to take credit as opposed to giving the credit to the team.
It involves humility. It involves looking in the mirror and saying, am I really being the best leader I can be? Am I really being an asset to my operation? Or am I a little bit of a liability?
What do you think the role of the ego plays in owners or managers in stopping them from maybe unlocking that great leader that's within them? What do you think the role of the ego plays in that?
Yeah, the ego is there to destroy your business. The ego exists to separate the bad leaders from the good ones. Like for me, and this is a big thing I talked about in the Wealthy Franchisee is, why are you there? Are you there to, build your ego, or are you there to build a business, right? If you want to make money, you got to make a difference. And no one cares that it's you. I used to work at another hotel before I was a bellman. One of my first jobs, I was a front desk clerk at a Best Western hotel. And the owner would come by and he'd introduce himself to people. And he'd always say, "Hi, I'm Frank, and I'm a general manager, and I'm part owner." He'd always say part owner. And I always wondered why he said that. Now, if his intent was to make the guest feel special because, wow, they're meeting the owner, well, then that's great. And then they know, okay, he's the person who we can go to if we have any concerns or questions. But as I got to know him, he wanted everybody to know that he was the big man on campus, right? And no one cares. They're there for their own experience. And so, I really believe in the concept of servant leadership, that the best leaders lead by being of service to their staff. They're not subservient, but they exist to use their skills, their knowledge, their resources to build everyone else up. I say, first of all, you want your customers and guests, they should be the star of the show, not you. Build them up. And the best way to build them up is by building up your team members. Let them feel great. Let them feel like the place is theirs. And you just kind of kick back. Your ego will not bring people, you're not going to get respect. You're not going to have people who are going to want to be with you. It's very off-putting. So you can serve better when you can not make it about you. So put your ego aside, be more of a servant, and then you're putting more value out there, and that's going to attract more money.
Man, I really love that. And one of the reasons why I asked that was because for a long time and still every day, it's something that I'm working and growing on, is that was a challenge for me, wanting to take credit as opposed to giving the credit to the team, right? And their value and their contribution. And I think people really feel that, right? It's interesting how you talked about intent, which can be so subtle, right? The line between saying the same exact thing, but the energy of the intention, like, man, that's pretty deep.
Yeah. And that, but again, and so this has come up so many times in our conversation, is it involves reflection. It involves humility. It involves looking in the mirror and saying, am I really being the best leader I can be? Am I really being an asset to my operation? Or am I a little bit of a liability? What is my operation? What are my team? What are my customers? What do they all need most from me? And it's probably not for me to talk about how awesome I am. It's just to be awesome in service of them. But again, it involves the humility. And this is something I noticed with all these great managers and leaders who I profile in this book, is none of them are like, we have a great team because I'm such a great manager. A lot of them were very humble. And when I wrote The Wealthy Franchisee, I noticed the exact same thing, that there's confidence, but there's humility there as well. I'm thinking of one person in particular, one gentleman, Sean Riley, from Maine. He runs a company, manages a bunch of hotels, mostly Hiltons and Marriotts. And this guy is just awesome. If there's anybody who has a right to be an ego with him, he was so humble. And like, even when I showed him in advance the profile I wrote about him, he had me rewrite a few things because he thought it made it too much about him, and he wanted the focus to be on his team. But I know his team is that way because of the environment that he creates, but I tried to find that balance. That is an example of great leadership.
If you enjoyed this short clip from the podcast, you can check out another short clip right here. Or if you want to watch the full episode of this podcast, you can watch that here. And remember, knowledge is not power. It's applied knowledge that's power. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.